Hi, welcome back to A Town Called Yarn, obviously not a real town. My name is Harrison and this is episode 23 of my Knitting and Crochet podcast where I talk about knitting and crochet. Like I said, my name is Harrison. I live in the south of England. I am 29. I don't really normally say just facts about me at the start of the video, but maybe you'd like to know. I'm 29. I turned 30 this year. And when I tell you that my body is telling me that I'm turning 30, sometimes I hurt myself from sneezing now. That never used to happen before. But regularly now I'll sneeze and then just have like some pain for a little bit, which I'm not enjoying. But I'm quite excited to be 30, I guess. I guess at 30 feels like an adult, which I guess is exciting. But then when I was like 15, 16 felt like an adult. And now as a 29-year-old, I understand that 16 is a child. 18 is a child. 21 feels like a child to me. But anyway, let's not talk about ages. I'm filming this a bit later than I normally do. I'm filming this at about 3:20. I've had a bit of a mad day at work. I work in marketing for a large retailer in the UK, and we went to go do a store visit this morning, which meant that I've been walking on concrete for most of the day, and I'm a bit tired so this might be a slightly kind of mellow, chill episode, or I might just start speaking really fast. So it might be the opposite of that. Who's to say? I guess we'll find out together. But it does mean that I've not really had the chance to plan this video. Not that I normally plan them that much, but I normally just write down what I've been doing just so I don't forget things. So I have a fear that I'm going to forget something today. So if I have, then hopefully I'll remember within the next 2 weeks and I will talk about it the week after. One thing I did want to say is if you watched my last episode, you will have seen, or you will have heard me talk about that I was going to film another 2 videos. Turns out I didn't film either of them. I had these grand plans on that Friday and then my week off went really fast and was a little bit hectic, so I didn't get a chance to do either of them. Started off, my boyfriend was ill for a bit, and then at the end I had all my plans kind of stacked to the other end of the week, so I just didn't really get a chance to kind of properly, 1, go through all of my yarn and organise that and film that, and then 2, film a kind of crafting week of my life, which to be fair would have been quite dull because I've mostly only worked on one project and then just really quickly at the end of the week cast on some new things because I got the urge to do that. So those videos don't currently exist and we will see if they ever exist. Who knows? I do really need to sort out my yarn, so maybe that one will happen. But we'll see. It's mainly, I don't feel comfortable filming while someone else is in my flat. So if my boyfriend's home, then this feels like a filming free zone to me, which maybe I need to get over because he's home on the days where I don't have work usually. So we'll try our best. Also, I got a very helpful comment on my last video saying that I sometimes kind of move things too fast away from camera when I'm showing them. So I'm going to make a concerted effort this episode and like from now on to hold things up for a bit longer for you to be able to see them. And I hope that happens. And hope if I forget to do that in like the second half of the video, then remind me again in the comments. Shall we talk about some knitting / crochet? I don't have any crochet to talk about actually. Oh no, I do. I have a finished object and I have a project plan that I'll talk about later in the video that is also going to be crochet. Let's start with some finished objects. I have 2 finished objects to talk about. The first one I don't have with me, so I will put up a picture here. What I might actually do is look at a picture myself because I don't remember. I mean, I do remember what it looked like. I worked on it for months. This is a picture of the island doll from, here's where you say I haven't planned, by Chastity Ann Designs. The pattern comes with a lava and an island doll, but I only managed to do one because it took me longer than I thought, and I don't really like amigurumi, to be honest. I find it hurts my hands a bit. I find it's just not a form of crafting I love, so it was kind of a bit of a slog. But we finished. I'm really happy with this. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I gave it to my nephew on his birthday, which was the 29th, so a week before I was filming this. And he really enjoyed it. I did find out 24 hours before that he prefers the lava monster, not monster, but like the lava person from Moana. So if I'd have known that, maybe I would have made that one first, but he did really enjoy it. He's very, very kind of gift worthy because he's quite kind of calm. No, he's not a calm boy. He's 3, so he's like a bit mad, but he's quite kind of gentle when he needs to be. He has a good sense of the things he needs to be gentle with. So very happy that he had this. Also very happy that it's done. I can't say I enjoyed it, but I'm really happy with the final project. It was a really good pattern, really well explained, really well thought out. I find I'm just not good enough at counting to do amigurumi super successfully, which is why the head is significantly larger than it was meant to be in the original pattern. And I'm slightly concerned when I make the next one, which I will make him because I have the yarn and I'll probably do it for Christmas. I'm slightly concerned that I won't be able to make the head the same size. So, because I don't know how this happened, I just counted badly, I think. That's finished object 1. Like I said, that is the Island Doll by Chastity Ann Designs. It's available on Etsy. It will be linked down below, like all of the patterns and stuff that I talk about. So highly recommend. If you like amigurumi, if you don't like amigurumi, don't recommend because it is amigurumi. That is finished object number 1. Happy, we got there in the end. I don't see a lot of chenille yarn in my future, but that's fine. Finished object number 2 is another hipster hat. This is hipster hat number 3 that I've made. And I didn't really plan on this being a pattern that I was going to make loads. It's just quite a simple 2x2 rib hat. And I quite like the decreases. However, spoiler, for the whip section, I've got 2 other hats on the go, neither of which are hipster hats. So you will be happy to see that if you're bored of hipster hats. Because I am a little bit. I like the pattern, I like the way the decreases look, but I mean, it's just 2x2 ribbing, so how exciting can it be? But I'm excited to do something different. This is using yarn by the Woolen Wytch, which is the, actually let me hold it up for longer. I've already like stopped, I'm just waving it about. Let me fold up the brim. So the yarn that this is knitted on is by the Woolen Wytch. It's on their 100% BFL DK base as part of their Nautical Nexus subscription club, which is their 2025 subscription club. And it is in the colourway Flutter, which is inspired by jellyfish. So I really love how this turns out. This isn't going to be staying with me. This is a... Actually, I have another whip in there that I can talk to you about, don't I? One sec. Yeah, how exciting. This isn't going to be staying with me. This is a gift for a friend of mine who is moving to Berlin in April. So it's kind of a going away hat. It's got really hot though. I started making this when it was cold. So, but it obviously gets cold in Berlin at certain points in the year. They just have to store it until it gets cold again. You will know how weather works. But I'm really happy with this. I knit this a bit shorter than I knit mine because she has a smaller head than me. And that's the only reason really. And I figured even though it is meant to be a folded up brim, I think if she wants to, you could obviously wear it without folding up the brim. And then if you wanted it maybe a bit snugger, you can fold up the brim a little bit. But I'm basically explaining how a hat works to you, so don't need to do that. But like I said, this is the Hipster Hat by Petit Knits. Good, solid, simple pattern. Big fan. Let's put that to one side so I don't lose it. Should we talk about some whips? So, I don't know if this feels like the calm mellow that I said it was at the front. I feel like I'm being quite erratic, but we'll see. I'm so thirsty today. It's 23 degrees today, which I don't love for me. The 4th of April, 23 degrees. Everyone keeps talking about at work how it feels like 2020 weather. It feels like pandemic weather, which is, I mean, good because that the other thing, part of that isn't happening. But it's also a bit weird how it feels so similar. And maybe the weather always does that. Maybe every 5 years we get similar weather, but we just don't notice it. But there was a massive global event 5 years ago, so we all remember it. Anyway, I don't know where that came from. Whips. Let's talk about the whip that feels like it's kind of linked to that FO. So, like I said, I'm getting the Nautical Nexus subscription club by Woolen Wytch. And it's 100 grams of DK, and I'm probably going to make hats with them most months. Or at least I'm going to make projects that only use about 80 grams of DK weight yarn is kind of the plan. So what I then wanted, because those are all going to be individual projects, I wanted something that was a single project that showed the whole year of colours together. And what I wanted that to be was just kind of quite a simple cowl, knit as a tube, and then will be eventually seamed at the end. So this, you will have seen this first colourway last time. So I've done a provisional cast on, I think, maybe like 80 to 100 stitches. I don't remember. I kind of just cast on because this isn't a pattern. It's kind of based off of the Litmus cowl in construction, but it's not. This isn't following a pattern. I kind of cast on enough stitches till I felt it moved around the 16-inch circulars with some kind of ease was the goal. So I think that ended up being between 80 and 100. And I've added in colourway 2. And I like how these go together because I like how contrasting they are. And I was originally planning, or I thought about whether I wanted, oh, Siri's be listening to me. I thought about how, if I wanted to put like a colour in between them to kind of signify the break. And I'm actually really happy I haven't done that. I'm really happy that it just kind of goes from one colour to the other, especially where this is such a stark contrast. And I kind of hope that the contrast between them happens every month. I think based on the Woolen Wytch's dye style and colourway 3, which you'll see in a hat in a little bit, and the mood board of colourway 4, which I've already seen, I think that will continue to happen. So I'm really enjoying this. And then I'll work on this for 12 months and then I'll seam it together at the end of the year, and I will then have a cowl. I love this base. I've spoken a little bit recently about how much I'm enjoying non-merino bases. So like I said, this is their 100% BFL base. It's so nice. It's a really, really lovely yarn. It's a really, really lovely base. It's soft and kind of squidgy, but still feels like it came from an animal, which is sometimes what you don't get from merino. Merino sometimes feels like it's, and I love merino still, I will still use it in projects, but sometimes it feels like it could be just like a man-made fibre. I think at least some blends of it. Whereas this feels like I can feel the sheep. Do you know what I mean? Maybe not. Maybe that sounds weird. But that is whip number 1. And it is in one of my Butternut Handmade project bags, which has these really fun clouds and like rainbows and suns on there, but in a really fun colour palette. I really like this one. I have broken it though, so I do need to fix it. I pulled on the drawstrings a bit too vigorously, so there's like a hole that I need to fix. Which I should do actually, because I keep forgetting, and then obviously it'll just get worse. So I should maybe I'll sew that together at the weekend. But I really love a Butternut Handmade bag, as you know if you've ever watched a video before. If you haven't, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. And feel free to subscribe. In like in 3 videos time, yeah, in 3 videos time, it will have been my year since making videos like this. And I'd love to get to 500 subscribers in a year. So if you're not subscribed yet, that would be wonderful. Thank you very much in advance. Should we talk about another hat? Maybe let's do all the Woolen Wytch at once, shall we? Because we like a theme. So this is my newest Butternut Handmade bag. I bought another one of these small ones to have hat projects in. And it's got this really fun, they're like little birds on little branches with little berries near them and stuff. I really like the colour palette of them. So the first 2 colourways that you've seen, the blue was the January of the Woolen Wytch Nautical Nexus Club. The pinky purple kind of pastel-y one was the February. This is the March colourway. So as you can still see, again, a massive contrast. This is the yarn. This is called Fiery Oh, let me get the tag. 1 second, 1 second. It's not that one. I'll be able to find it. Maybe that's because it's not in there. I don't know where the tag's one is. In here? No, it's called like Fiery something. And it is based off like a red/orange octopus. I really, really love it. It's super, super bright and vibrant. It actually, you kind of do get the vibrance on camera there. You're kind of seeing, it looks like that in real life. I'm knitting another hat, and you might think, is that a hipster hat? Because it looks like 2x2 ribbing. Oh, I dropped it. Because it looks like 2x2 ribbing, but it is not a hipster hat. It is 2x2 ribbing, but just for the brim. So you will see there, and I've done the brim. So I think this is just under, or like right about 4 inches, which is how long I wanted the brim to be. Obviously it will be folded, so it'll be a 2-inch brim. And this is, I'm gonna have to look up this pattern, sorry. I've just not prepared for filming. And maybe I just shouldn't have filmed, but I'm just gonna cracked on. This is, where is it in my Ravelry? Oh no. I'm gonna have to look up on my laptop. I don't think I've sent it to my phone yet. I don't really need to reference the pattern again because it's just 2x2 ribbing. Sorry about this. Talk amongst yourselves. Maybe. Is it that? No. Is it that? Yes. This is the Rough Road Hat by Shannon Larson from Just Living Designs. Like I said, I will have everyone linked below. So it's the Rough Road Hat. I'll put up a picture of what it looks like here because obviously you can't really tell what's going to happen by the 2x2 rib. What I knew I wanted from this yarn was I wanted something textured, but not in a 2x2 rib way. And I almost went cables because I think, although this is variegated, I think it's kind of lightly variegated enough that cables would work in it. But then I couldn't find a cable pattern that I thought really suited this yarn necessarily. So I just found this pattern. What it is kind of a 2x2 rib, but it's and I'm pretty sure it's a free pattern. So I think this is fine for me to say. I won't show you the pattern, but it's kind of a broken 2x2 rib, but with a bigger break in between, if that makes sense. So it's like you're doing 2x2 rib for 4 rounds, and then you're just knitting for 4 rounds, and then repeat but offsetting, which gives you the texture. I think it's going to look great. I'm going to knit it to about the same length as I have my hipster hats for me, so that it's kind of that cap style that I want. And it's got fun. One thing I will say about this pattern is it does feel like it's kind of formatted weirdly, because it starts with the pattern for the brim, which makes sense. But then for the body section, it kind of just says follow the instructions on the next page, and then it has a whole other page with the instructions for it. And then you have to scroll back up for the crown decreases, which was random to me. But the crown decreases look really straightforward, so I think that'll be fine. And I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to getting into the next section. I've been kind of powering through with, just opening up the next pattern. I'm kind of been powering through with one of my other projects in the last couple of weeks. So I kind of did some new cast-ons, but I didn't want to get them to the point where they became complex because I wanted them to be kind of rests from my other project, which I'll show you in a bit. But this is the Rough Road Hat. Really enjoying it. I'm knitting this on, well, I didn't say what I'm knitting. I'm knitting this, they're like a tube of yarn, on 3.5mm circular, like a circular needles. I'm knitting this on 3.5mm Chalgu 16-inch circulars, which are my faves, but I need to get some more, I think. because I need to have, I don't know why I need some more actually, maybe I don't, but I kind of feel like sometimes I'm like, oh, I could cast on another hat and I don't have the needles. But maybe what I should instead do is just not cast on another hat at that, not just buy more needles. Maybe that would be better. Who knows? So that's the first hat that isn't a hipster hat that I've made in a little while actually. I've just remembered my sister's having another baby this month and I said I'd knit that baby a hat. I might have to start that soon. I haven't started yet though. Let's not do a hat. Shall we do a new cast on? I mean, two of the three things remaining are new cast on. Are they all new cast ons? No, 2 of the 3 are new cast ons. This is not the pattern that I just opened, but when I kind of thought about sorting out my yarn, I had a bit of a look through some of my hand-dyed and I remembered 2 skeins that I had that I knew wanted to be in a project together. And that is these 2 here. So these are from the Crafty Birds, let's hold them a bit closer, the Crafty Birds Good Omens collection from 2024. This colourway here is called Crowley, or Crowley, which is based on like the devil, evilish one of the two main characters. And this one is called Aziraphale, which is based on the angel, like the good one. So, and I bought them, and because their characters are kind of the 2 main characters of the show, that's kind of why I want them to use them together, but also I think they contrast so nicely that they'll be in a really fun project together. I just didn't know what the project was going to be. There was a time where I thought I was going to make another clockwork scarf/shawl by Stephen West, but I didn't really want another one of those. I don't know why, to be honest. But like I'd be into the idea of knitting another one. I like that pattern. It's actually one of the first proper things I knit, but it just didn't feel like the pattern for these 2 yarns. So I had a bit of a trawl through on Ravelry and I ended up finding another Stephen West pattern. Because I like a Stephen West pattern. I like the way, I said that like loads of people don't. I mean, you might not. I think the way Stephen writes his pattern makes a lot of sense for my brain. I think sometimes you find designers who design in a way where it's like you can tell that they think in a similar way to you. And I think Stephen West thinks in a similar way to me. Apart from all the triangles on the Go-Go Dynamo shawl. I'd have never done that. This is the Daybreak by Stephen West. Actually, let me show you the knitting, not just, I was going to put a picture up. I'll put up a picture of it here. And this is where I've got to. So it's one of his kind of crescent, I suppose semicircle shawls more so. And this is where we've got up to so far. So you start in where this blue stitch marker is here, and then we're growing out in a semicircle for the first section, just with colourway A for the time being. There is a purl break pattern that you get together with this, which is done in garter. I almost did that, but then it uses actually a bit more yarn than the Daybreak does, and I only got 1 skein of each of these. So I'm doing the medium size of this. It comes in 3 sizes, and I have the yardage for the medium. And I know from my other Stephen West patterns that he's quite liberal with his yardage recommendations. So if you have kind of just enough, you'll actually have plenty. And this is where we've got to. I'm almost done with the increase on this first semicircle. And then I'll start, as you can see in the picture, I'll start the semicircle, not the semicircle, I'll start the striping bits, which will add in colourway 2. And then I'll just keep going until he says to stop, really. And then I'll do the border still in this colourway 2. And I think that's a really nice way of kind of having these 2 colourways work together. This is, like I said, by the Crafty Bird, these colourways. This is on their Cosy 4-ply base, which is 100% superwash merino. And I love the way that she dyes. By she, I mean Robin of the Crafty Bird. It's also, no, I'll talk about that a bit later actually. So that's that. I'm happy with it. And I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying kind of just some knitting with some increases. And I think I'll enjoy the striping because it will be quite, what's the word people use where you want to keep going back to it because like just one more stripe? I don't know. But that's what I think this will be. And I'm happy to use this yarn because I bought this last summer. I think the collection came out in the autumn. No, that doesn't make sense. I think the collection came out in the spring, probably around this time last year. And then I probably got it in like May by the time they're kind of, because it was a dye to order, like pre-order situation. So I'm happy to be using this yarn and having it in a project, not in a just yarn form. And I like the semicircle patterns that Stephen has. And I like that this will be a much more muted colour palette, so I think it will be a bit more wearable than the bright colours that I did from the Go Go Dynamo shawl from his Ebb Cow last year, because I love that and I love the shape of it. But it's just quite a bold statement to wear out the house in the colours that I did that in. Do I have 2 more whips? Yes, let's do my last new cast on and then I will end with the project that I have some things I want to talk about. I watch the Needles at the Ready Boys, Kevin and Ray, kind of every episode that they release really. I think they're fun. They actually shouted me out not too long ago, which was nice. Which is actually I got quite a lot of subscribers from that, so I'm assuming that a good chunk of you also watch Kevin and Ray. If you don't, Needles at the Ready, highly recommend. Oh, Kevin has knit quite a few Salish caps, and I'm knitting a Salish cap. I feel a bit silly because I was like, I don't want to do any more hipster hats, and then I'm just doing another hat that's 2x2 ribbing as though that's a revolution. But it is different, I promise. This is my other gift hat. So this needs to be done by like Easter weekend, really. The Salish cap is a hold, doesn't make sense. It's like a DK-ish weight hat that you hold 2 yarns together for to get this kind of marled effect. And this is how mine is turning out. Is that focusing? Yeah. This is how mine's turning out. I'm obsessed with how this is turning out. I won't lie to you. I've made a couple of tweaks to the pattern, and by that I mean I'm not using the needles, nor is the yarn the right weight. But other than that, I'm following the pattern because it's a 2x2 rib. So like, what other modifications would I make? It would be weird to do a 3x3 rib and then say that I'm even following the pattern. You might think this looks really small. It is stretchy. I really hope it fits the boy it's for. I sound like they're in their 30s. The man it's for. I'm hoping, because if you hold it side by side with this one, they kind of flatten to not too dissimilar. I mean, I'm lying to you, there's like another inch in it. But it's stretchy. So hopefully, maybe so. I'm going to give this to them in like front of a load of other people, and I just feel like it's going to be so embarrassing for me to just be like, I'm sorry, I thought you had a tiny head. So this is that hat. It's 2x2 ribbing, but it has a different decrease pattern, obviously, to the hipster hat. I'm knitting this on 3.75mm 16-inch circular needles. The pattern calls for 5mm 16-inch circular needles, which I do not own. So I just kind of thought, I'll just give it a go. I'm using 2 sport weight yarns held together, and these are actually the leftovers that I had of my John Arbon Yarnadelic, which I knew I wanted to use in something like this. So these are the 2 colourways. This top colourway is called Galetta Guitar, and this bottom colourway is called Nobody Knows from the Yarnadelic range by John Arbon. This is 100% Corriedale on their sport weight. They also have a worsted weight base of this yarn. Is that true? Yeah, I think it is true. They also have a worsted weight base of this yarn. I love this yarn base so much. I love Corriedale. I wish it was more available from a hand-dyed perspective, because I would buy so much of it. So what I'm doing is I'm holding these double. This is actually the first time I'm holding yarn double in a project, which doesn't really mean anything because like it's not super complicated, but it did require a little bit of me figuring out how to use my hands. And this is where we've got up to. I've knitted just over, I think around 7 inches is what I'm at currently. So I've got like 3 more inches to go before I start the decreases. And I just really hope it fits. I'll be so sad if it doesn't fit them. Both these hats will also be gone by the next time I film. No, actually they might not, because I guess I should, oh, I don't know when I'm going to film next actually, because it's a bank holiday weekend. These might be gone by the next time I film, so I'll make sure I take pictures. And I mean, I might have this one still, because it might have not fit so badly that I just kept it. But I hope not, because they're moving to Germany, so I won't be able to get them a hat super easily. I think it'll be fine. Like, it kind of fits my head. I think he has a smaller head than me. I do this thing where, unless I'm looking right at you in person, I have no idea how to tell how big your head is. And I think everyone either has massive heads or tiny heads. And I just completely forget how big your head is unless I'm looking at you directly. It's such a weird, like, thing my brain does. But this is the Salish Cap, very much inspired by Kevin at Noobs at the Ready, who's knit, I think, like 6 of these, and I can see why. I don't have loads of like partial skeins that in the right kind of weights or the right amount to knit many of these, but I could see this being a regular use for scraps, and I could actually see myself buying yarn to make one of these. Potentially more of this Yarnadelic. I just love the way that it's marling so much. But that's the Salish Cap by, oh, I didn't say who it's by. Let's rectify that now. By Mary Prance. And I think it's by kind of as part of the Blue Sky Fibres. I don't know if she is one of the people from Blue Sky Fibres or whether she designed it for them, but Mary Prance, Blue Sky Fibres. Fun. I feel like I just keep saying the word fun randomly. But I do think it's fun. And again, a button-up handmade bag. Nobody is shocked. There's one other project, actually, that I'm not going to show, but I do want to reference. It's my, I'm like sliding off this sofa. It's my Simon shawl by Twinset and Pearl. I have made some progress on it, but I kind of let it fall by the wayside again. So I haven't made that much progress on it. So I'm just not going to show it this time. And then maybe in 2 more weeks, the progress will look interesting. I've just been super excited by a load of other projects. Should we talk about the one that's kind of taken up the most of my time? Let me drink a little bit more water. Sorry about that. I said drink a little bit more and then just like glugged back a load of water. Let's talk about my Tintype Scarf. But so if you've watched before, you will have seen this in various stages. I've been working on it for a good few weeks now. I reached a couple of milestones, which I'm quite happy about. And I've made some changes to the way I'm going to continue with this based on what I said last time. Milestone 1, I'm on skein 2. So this is, I will show you the pattern, but I'll hold it up in a sec. This is the main colour of the pattern, which isn't a skein by Pixie Yarn. It's like an uncoloured, no, it's not uncoloured, it's obviously you can see the colour. It's an unnamed grey that they sent with a Go-Go Dynamo kit. But it's quite close to their Mizzle colourway. And this is on their 4-ply sock base, I think. I think it's a 75-25 merino nylon. The colours in this yarn, which can you, oh, I don't know if you'll be able to see this. Can you see all those in there? All of those balls of yarn are the Musicals advent from the Crafty Bird from 2024. In this bag are 23 balls, meaning I've done pretty much the whole advent. I mean, I've done the whole advent. One of the colours just isn't balled up yet. Which means I have 24 sections on my Tintype Scarf. This is one, if you haven't seen this this channel before, fair warning, I think this is the prettiest thing I've ever made, and I am not open to criticism about it in any way, shape or form. So if you would like to leave a comment about it, it has to be nice, otherwise I'll be sad. But this is, let me hold it up actually a bit better, my Tintype Scarf. This is a pattern by Woldten. It's a short row colourwork pattern that uses two, I mean not two colours, but you basically have one yarn that's like your main colour, which is the grey here. And it's not written for an advent, it's actually written more for kind of a spin cycle-y colour changing yarn. But I have just done it with an advent. So I've just done it with the 24 colourways from the Crafty Bird's Musicals Advent. You start with this section here, so you start at this end. I did the I-cord cast on section, however, I did it differently to the pattern because the pattern does it in a way that's kind of wild, where you kind of make an I-cord but also are picking up stitches at the same time. And I was a bit stressed when I wanted to cast this on, so I just did an I-cord cast on, which has worked out fine. You then do these like plain stripe sections, and then you start making these pill sections, which make up the majority of the sections. And what you're doing is alternating between them with your short rows. So actually, let me see if I can find a more fun way to show these a bit closer up. There we go. So you can see as we worked through the colourways. It's quite hard to show like this actually. I don't know if this is a good idea. That we're kind of fading through the rainbow ever so slightly. And then here we are at the end. And the end sections are like a half section. It's not curvy like this. This is just because the needles are still attached. It's actually quite a like straight lined pattern that's a bit better. Why does that look like I've put too many rows in there? I think it was just stretched. Yes, just stretched. So I've done all the colourways. Originally, if you've watched before, you'll have known that I was considering continuing and like going back on myself to start doing the colourways in reverse. However, I've decided not to do that because one, I didn't want to. Second, I like the idea of, how do I illustrate this? Because it's like obviously an unfinished scarf. I like the idea of this being like a panel and then having quite a long section that's similar to this bit with just the stripes, so that this is kind of not central, if that makes sense. So it's kind of, let's say I was wearing it, it would be like here, but then wrapped around would be the rest of the scarf that doesn't have these pills bit in. I hope that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is just do that. And I'm just going to keep going until I run out of this yarn probably. So this is the 24th colourway that is this half pattern, and will also form the stripes in between the section. Just like at the start, colourway 1 forms these coloured stripes, and then you do the half pill in colourway 1, and then colourway 2, and so on. I'm so happy with this, everyone. I think this is maybe one of the prettiest things I've ever made. I'm really happy with how quickly I was able to pick up German short rows, because this is the first time I've ever done German short rows. I mean, they're actually quite straightforward, so like it's not like I solved world hunger or anything, but I really love the way it's turned out. This was really fun to knit on. I mean, it still is, I'm not done with it yet. And I'm hoping I'll kind of fly through the end of the section. I'm kind of hoping that I think my camera's overheating again. One sec, I'm going to turn off the camera for a bit and then I'll be back. It's been like 15 minutes, so I'm hoping that the camera's calmed down a little bit. Like I said, it's 23 degrees outside, it's mad temperatures. I was talking to you about my Tintype. Let me show it to you one more time, and then I don't think I've got anything else to say about it right now. I just love it so much. It's these colours at the end, kind of the purples through to the yellows, that are the ones that I've added since you last saw this, I think. So that's all of those. I also think this is a really strong advent pattern. I could see myself doing this again using an advent, because It's just a great time. The one thing I think I would do if I did this again, and like I do think I'll make another one of these, I think I'll change two things. One, I'd like to also do one using like a colour changing yarn, like a spin cycle, but maybe not a spin cycle because it's quite spendy. But I think I'd maybe try and do it at a slightly tighter gauge. I think I'd either use, because I'm doing this on 3.75 mil needles, I think I'd even either drop down to a 3.5 or go up to like a DK, or maybe like a sport weight or like light DK yarn. I think it's the tweaks I'd maybe make next time. But I think for 4-ply, I'd maybe go to 3.5 for my gauge. I think I'm becoming a bit of a looser knitter as I become a more confident knitter. So, which is handy because I think before I was quite a tight knitter, so everything was ending up too small. And with a scarf, you don't want it to be too small. I'm currently at like 1.4, is that true? No, like 1.2 meters long with this. And I want to get up to like between 1.5 and 1.8, but I'll probably just keep adding in stripes until I'm bored and then call it a day. And this is in my Pigment and Ply 2023 advent bag, which is really fun. I also love the way this shows up on camera. You can just see all the little details of it. And that's all of my whips. Should we talk about, let's talk about some things. And then, I don't know what that was. Let's talk about some things. And then let's talk about a plan and some yarn that's turned up. And then I'll talk about some books and TV/films. I've not seen any films since I last filmed, so TV. Two things. One, this would normally be the episode where I would talk about my yarn in and yarn out of the past month. And I've been doing that as a kind of counting all the like grams that come in, counting all the grams that go out. I've decided that's not how I want to do that going forward. What I'm going to do is when I end up sorting through my yarn is I'm going to weigh all of it. I'm going to make kind of an inventory of the yarn that I own. Not to the point where I might take pictures of literally every single skein of yarn I own so that I can like go through it without having to rummage through the bags. Because I keep all my yarn kind of wrapped in plastic pouches to avoid moths, because I would cry so much if moths got to my yarn. Because of that, I find it's making me not reach for yarn in the way that I want to, unless I really know it's there. So I might take pictures of all of it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, maybe in the next episode, or when I've done this, in the episode after that, tell you how much yarn I own in grams, which might be like balls of yarn, I suppose. I might do it by 100 and say I've got that many skeins of yarn, say. And then my goal is, what I'll do is when I know how much that is, I will set a goal for how low I want that to be. Because I don't think I want to be to the point where I'm having to buy yarn for every project. I enjoy having a stash, and I enjoy buying yarn that I buy because I want, and then I can figure out a project afterwards. I quite like that process. I like the restrictiveness of having yarn that I've already bought and made a decision on, and then having to find a project that works for that yarn. But I think I probably have more than I want for that. And then I also want to split it by yarn that's like, I want to know how much DK I've got, how much fingering weight I've got. I don't really have any other weights of hand dyed, but I'd like to know that so that I just have that on. And then it will help when I'm buying yarn in future. Like if I go to a yarn show, I can take that with me and say, do you know what, I'm into the idea of like an Aran weight project, and I have no hand dyed Aran weight project yarn, so I can like do that, if that makes sense, and have a bit more of a kind of varied stash that I can use for more projects. So that's how that's changing. So I won't be talking about that this episode because I haven't done the maths, but I'm changing the way I want to do it. The second thing is, it is apparently Advent season. There are a couple of Advents that are being released. Actually, it'll be the day before this video comes out that I'm thinking of purchasing. Let me remind myself which ones they are, because I have forgotten. So The first one is, so as you will have seen, unless you just started watching now and haven't watched the rest of the video, this is the Crafty Bird's musical advent. This year, they are doing a Christmas at Pooh corner, as in Winnie the Pooh, not just a corner of Pooh, advent, which originally I didn't like the idea of, because I thought it was going to be, I don't know, I'm not like I like Winnie the Pooh, but I wasn't like hugely into it. So theme-wise, I wasn't super excited just naturally. However, having seen the kind of colour palettes and knowing the Crafty Bird die style, I do want to get this one. I will put up the mood board here in case you're interested. So this goes on sale. I just need to find out the information because I have forgotten. This goes on sale on Sunday the 6th of April, so actually the day this video comes out at 6 p.m. I can't recommend the Crafty Bird's Advent enough. It's my favourite one that I got this year. I loved all the ones I got, but it's my favourite of the ones I got. I really like the Crafty Bird's die style. And also the way it's kind of packaged, all the little extras that you get throughout the month were just a lot of fun. So I'm excited for that. So I will be purchasing that one I'll do it in instalments, which she offers, which is handy because then you don't have to spend it all up at once. The other one that I've actually already started purchasing, which I think I spoke about before, was the Greenlambkin Yarn one, which is paid for monthly. Because she dyes it and sends it throughout the year, so you end up with 24 packages, where instead of just dyeing up and then sending all at once at the end of the year. That one is like a Christmas bakery themed one, I think is the vibe of that one. Is that what it's called? Mrs. Claus's Kitchen is what the theme of that one is. I'm excited about that. I got that one last year. I like it. I think it's fun. I haven't used it yet, but I liked it. And then the third one that I have my eye on, which might be the last one I get, but we'll see, because I had 5 last year, and I don't think I want 5 again, because I think it ultimately is too many. But is my battery about to die now? Leave me alone, camera. How is my battery about to die? It said it was like 3/4 full when I turned the camera on. Okay, 1 second. Let me change my battery. Right. There we go. Battery changed. Hopefully I don't have to turn off the camera again. I do think I had too many last year, but also I had a good time. I love Advent, I love Christmas, and I'm working my way through them. Am I? This is the second. It's April and I almost finished the project with the second of them. So, and I know the project for at least one of the others, so my goal is to still make sure I finished all of 2024's Advents before 2025 Advent. So fingers crossed that happens. The next one though is a dyer who I've not bought anything from, but I followed on Instagram for a while and I really love their dye styles. And that is Petit Knits, who was another UK dyer. And they are doing, and I'll put up a picture again, a gothic Advent this year. And I think the mood boards for this are super, super pretty. So there are 5 mood boards. So I guess you're getting a kind of, 24 divided by, I guess you're getting like 5 days of each mood board, but I don't know if that's the way he does his. And I really love the deep kind of moody colours. I think this one's going to be really pretty. And I am not sure what base I'm going to get that one on. I think I'm going to get the Crafty Bird one on their Cosy DK base. And then I think I'll probably get the Petit Knits one on a 4-ply, so that I have some variation in my life as to what I want to do with what. And then I will wait and see if anyone else releases any that seem really fun for the other ones. But I think that will probably be Greenlambkin Yarns, Crafty Bird, Petit Knits are the 3 that I'm kind of set on at the moment. There's kind of, I think, 2 groups of hand dyers. So I think we're getting like one set that's happening now, and then there's another set that will happen kind of in May. So it's kind of, I might end up getting inspired. I'm hoping that Pigment and Ply does one this year, if I'm honest. Because I got their one in 2023, which was what this bag came with. And I loved it so much. And I just love Pigment and Ply's yarn and dye style. So I'd love them to do one. And then I'd also love to maybe, and I might look into it actually, I might have a bit of a look at some hand dyers that maybe dye with some other bases that aren't kind of your merinos, because I'd like a BFL one, actually. I don't think the Woolen Wytch has ever done one, because I know they have a lot of BFL bases, but I might have a bit of a look into the bases that other people offer and have a look. And then I'll talk about Advents more later in the year, but I thought I'd talk about them because you might be thinking about buying Advents, and I thought I'd share which ones I'm looking at. I know not Greenlambkin, I know that Skein and the Stitches Advent's coming out this weekend, that this is coming out. I know that The Lonely Knitter shared their mood boards. So there's loads out there. And it is early, like it's April, but having I watch a few hand dyes on YouTube. I think when you see how much goes into it, it makes sense why they have to do it so early, because obviously they have to order in all the supplies and make it all by hand, most often just one person doing it. And I think, so that makes a lot of sense as to why they need so long to do it. And I also, I work, like I said, I work in marketing for a large retailer. My main project that I'm going to be working on over the next few months is Christmas for us. So it kind of makes sense to me in that world as well. But also it's quite early, and I'm not going to talk loads about Christmas, but I love Christmas, so I'm excited about it. Those were the two things that I wanted to talk about pre this next thing that I wanted to talk about. So, I mentioned a little bit earlier, my sister is due child number 2. For her, that's not going to be the name of the child, although that would be good, just have number 1 and number 2, so it'd be easy to, not that it matters which one was born first. For child number 1, whose name is Leo, which when she named him, I didn't know of any other children called Leo, and it turns out for his generation, Leo's basically like James, like there's just so many of them. I made him, though, a temperature blanket for the first year of his life. So the idea was I took the time from the time he was born, and then for every day I took what the temperature was at that time in where we live, and that became the temperature blanket. I think you understand the concept of temperature blankets. I'll post a picture of the one that I made. Actually, there might not be a picture because I don't know whether I have one, to be honest with you. Let me just check if I can find it. My sister will have probably sent me one, to be honest. I will not look for this now. I will put up a picture there if I have one. If not, then sorry, because it was before I started making these videos or had like an Instagram, so I didn't take pictures naturally of what I made. I made that one in a mad panic in about 3 weeks because I only decided to do it 3 weeks before his first birthday. Now that I know that, I'm going to do child 2s across the year, which is actually the first time I'm doing a temperature blanket as a steady project across a year, because the 2 that I've done, which is the one for me, which if I turn you that way slightly, ignore the washing on the chair, that one's my one. Let me try and put you back in the same angle now. That's not the same, but fine. That one I made for me, and each line is actually a month for the first 25 years of my life. So it's the average month of that, the average temperature of that month. The one I did for my nephew is daily, like normal, and the one I'm going to do for nephew number 2 is also daily. But like I said, I'm going to do it as the year goes on. So I have picked up my yarns, and I bought a swatch card from, I will link them down below. I forgot their name again. I said them last video, I think. And I have put in all of the yarns I'm going to be using. When I did the other temperature blanket, it was before I really understood yarn weight, and I thought all Aran weight yarns were the same and all like DKs were the same. So I bought yarns from different brands to make the colour palette that I wanted. I since learned that that's not true, and not all Aran weight yarns are the same. So there's a lot of gauge issues with that blanket. So I wanted to buy yarn all from the same company, and I have gone with, let me get a ball of it out just so I can show you the yarn I'm using. Because I knew that I was going to have to buy a lot of yarn for this, I did go something a little bit cheap and cheerful, but I quite like it. It wasn't like, I've not compromised, I don't think. And I've gone with the Yarnsmiths Create Double Knit yarn. So this is Yarnsmiths, which is sold by Wool Warehouse. It's like their in-house yarn company. This is 100% acrylic, made in Turkey. Was I think where people think that like the best acrylic yarns are made, but I don't look into acrylic yarn that much, so I'm not sure if that's true. And I was originally going to use not acrylic, but then I thought for a blanket that's essentially for a baby and I want to last forever because I want these to be like heirlooms, I thought just using acrylic will wear better over time. That might not be true, but like in terms of just upkeep, it'll be easier to look after. And these are the 12 colourways that I've gone with. I've gone with a kind of traditional rainbow of colour, so going from like light blues for cold, deep reds for really hot. And when he's born, which will be in the middle of April, I will start this project and I will work out what time of the day he's born. Well, not work out, my sister will tell me. And then I will, after that time each day, add that colour in. I think I'm actually going to do 2 rows per colour just to get, because I'm doing a triangle moss stitch thing. It's kind of like corner to corner moss stitch, but I'm not closing. I'm going to leave it as a triangle because I like the idea that it's smaller when he's like a small little baby and then bigger when he'll be 1 year old. So I'm thinking of doing 2 rows of each colour just to kind of get a bit more of a graduated, and also to make it bigger in the end because it's a triangle, so you're starting smaller. Will I regret that in a year when the rows are really long? Potentially. But those are the colours. I really like the colour palette that I've gone with. That's the great thing about the Create line by Wool Warehouse, is that they had like 120 colours. So you could choose a rainbow in lots of different tones, which I'm really happy with. And I'm excited to get going with this. I obviously can't do it until he's born. And I really hope he's not... Oh, actually, I think she's like scheduled in. So I think he will be born at like a normal time. Because I was slightly concerned, because obviously babies can come whenever. If he was born at like 1 AM, and I was then trying to do the temperature from 1 AM each day, that was probably going to be cold most days. So if he does end up coming at a time that's kind of random, I might then choose like midday on the day he's born. Or maybe I'll pick like the high of the day. We'll see though. But now I just have a load of yarn. And like, so when I say I have a load of yarn, let me show you. So there are 12 colourways. And I bought 2 balls of each, which means there is 2,400 grams of yarn here, which is partly the reason where I thought I just need to stop doing the in and out the way I'm doing it, because this is so much yarn by weight, and I'm not going to finish it this year because he's not going to turn 1 until next April. So, but I have all the yarn. I wanted to get it all down so it's all the same dye lots and it's just kind of fine and sorted for... kind of looks slightly different in the back. So it's just kind of fine and sorted. And then I've also bought the parchment colourway for the border, because I do want to give it a border. And I just bought 4 balls of this just so I've got enough. And then if it ends up being too much, what I might do is, if it's looking like towards his birthday that I've got too much of some colours, I might make him something else for his birthday using the colours. Like I might do him like a rainbow, like crochet top or something. Or I might knit him something using them as well, just in a kind of graduated rainbow to use up a bit more of the yarn. That's the only yarn that's arrived since I last filmed though, because my monthly clubs haven't arrived yet for like now, and because it's only the 4th, and no other yarn. So I would say like not a bad yarn in, yarn out, but there's almost 30 balls of yarn there, so that's not true. I've also glued these down because I was worried they'd come undone, and I kind of, even though I bought this, I think I'll always keep this as like a bit of a keepsake, and if I wanted to make another temperature blanket, I think I'd buy another one of these rather than taking the yarn off at the end. So that's that. I think that's everything. I think I've rambled on a lot, so I think I'll leave it there. I will talk about what I've watched and read next time, because I've actually not really finished anything or watched much. So I'll talk about that next time in a couple of weeks when I've maybe read some more and watched some more. So if you're still watching, thank you so much. I hope this hasn't been all over the place. If you enjoyed this episode, liking the video would be wonderful. If you're not subscribed, subscribing would be also wonderful. Maybe do both. And then I will see you in a couple of weeks, probably. The Easter might throw things out a little bit, so it might be like a week later, but we'll see. It'll probably be in a couple of weeks. I hope you have a great couple of weeks, and I will see you then. Bye.